Week 19 of lcpioneers.com Live, presented by Pios Stream. We are on Facebook Live. You can find it easily by typing in lcpioneers.com Live. You can see us Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time on Facebook Live and archived at YouTube, youtube.com/lcpios. We're keeping you connected with student athletes, coaches, alumni, and members from the Lewis and Clark College community 4 days a week as we continue into the later part of the summer. Hi, everyone. I am Ryan Goff. I am the play-by-play voice and director of athletic communications for Lewis and Clark. We are the Pioneers out of Portland, Oregon, and you can find us as part of the Northwest Conference, competing with other institutions from throughout Northwest Oregon and the state of Washington, and as a member of NCAA Division III, competing with over 430 institutions nationwide. Our student athletes have a chance to compete on a national scale and opportunities to also travel overseas, as Lewis and Clark still sports a pretty robust overseas study program too. So our students get experiential learning opportunities through the liberal arts across the globe. Our guest today is Jay Locey. He is the head football coach for the Lewis and Clark Pioneers, entering his sixth season at the helm of the Pios. They're coming off of their best season to date with Coach Locey leading the program. He's a five-time Northwest Conference Coach of the Year, and excited to talk to him about what worked well last season, look ahead to some of the student athletes he has coming in for 2020-21, and just talk about football in the state of Oregon. I mean, he is born and bred in the state, has really been involved for decades in the sport within the state of Oregon. So just kind of excited to kind of have some stories and such with him too. We'll bring him in momentarily. We certainly want you to get involved with the show. You can provide questions or comments in the Facebook Live comments below. You can also email us, always sports@lclark.edu. Maybe you have a suggestion for a future guest, as we have been lucky enough to have the opportunity to talk to several alumni during the course of our 19 weeks doing the show. It's been really fun to bring some former student athletes back and talk to them on the show. You also can get connected with us on Instagram and Twitter, our handle on both LC Pioneers. And right now at lcpioneers.com, please go and check out the latest academic awards announced by the Intercollegiate Tennis Association last week. Both men's and women's programs for Lewis and Clark, and a total of 10 student athletes were selected for those honors. And head coach Jimmy Chow and his team continue to really excel both on the court and in the classroom. It's really neat to see. And given Coach Locey being on the program today, we continue to announce incoming student athletes for the 2021 academic year. 2020-21 academic year, and the football student athletes are still our most recent release, so you can see the 19 incoming freshmen that we're expecting next year for Lewis and Clark as well. That's at lcpioneers.com. So with that said, let's bring in our guest for today. He's the head coach of the Lewis and Clark Pioneers, Jay Locey, on the program. Jay, I appreciate taking the time to join us on this Wednesday and get a chance to talk some football. The summer weather's still hot, and I'm not a big fan of it. I like the fall, and I know that this fall is going to be a little bit different. Before we get into that, let's reflect on a year ago. You guys had a 4-5 season, the best win total for this program since you took over as the head coach. What do you remember most about the last season?
Well, I just think it was a opportunity of growth is really what it was, and culminating in what we think was a big win for us against UPS. They'd come into the game really fighting for the number 2 position in the league, and really proud of our players and coaches in terms of how they prepped for it. And I really think it kind of sent a statement or just of who we can be. And boy, we were physical, consistent, executed both offensively and defensively, and I really felt like we absolutely played up to our capabilities, and that's something we're looking forward to continuing.
You mentioned physicality with this team. I mean, the run game seemed to open things up in the passing game offensively. Let's look on that side of the ball. Michael Abraham had a big year. Caden Voges, before he got hurt, had a big year. What did you see from the offense last year?
Well, one thing too was just getting, I'm going to say, acclimated to our offensive coordinator, Joe Bushman, who's an outstanding coach. But I think he brought some real balance, and I'm going to call it creativity to our offense, and it took a little bit of time to get it up and running full speed. But we did have a good mix and very good run game, which opens up a whole lot of things when you can run the ball and opens up the passing game as well. Caden had a great game and then he got hurt. And then one of the nice things that came about is Cruz Montana, who was learning and growing all season long, was able to step in that UPS game and really led our group in a good way. So being a freshman coming in and doing that, we're excited about having him back. And we've got a good group, a skill group back with that offensive side of the ball. And our O-line will be a little bit young. And I suppose the positivity of playing in the spring is that group can develop a little bit more. But I really like it, the group that we do have at that O-line.
Now, you described some of the development with the offense on the defensive side of the ball. Lewis and Clark had his first all-region selection since 2011 in Cameron Chang. Defensively, what were some of the standout points from a year ago?
Again, I thought our run defense was outstanding. Sacks that we had, outstanding. Again, I think we got a little more creative towards the tail end of the season and really did a super job of defending UPS. And so it's a great group coming back. The defensive group returning is outstanding. Cam Chang, senior season, and hopefully it'll stay and go beyond just his senior year this spring. But he's a special player. But that whole D line's a pretty special group of kids, I think, and hardworking group. Linebackers is a strong unit coming back. Mel Ho'omanavanui, he was going to come back for his fifth year as he got hurt and still is planning on doing that, I believe. He's got to kind of weigh some options out and combine him with Alex Hensley. We've got a pretty strong group of kids coming back. Denzel Baker as well. So and the secondary, Roger Hernandez is anchoring a good group along with McConnell LaBoy. And I think those are special players. So I think we're excited about the group of kids coming back because I think we've got some great people.
He's the head coach of Lewis and Clark football, Jay Locey, joining us on lcpioneers.com live. The Northwest Conference did announce that the President's Council has decided to postpone fall events until the spring at the earliest. And you can find out more information about all of the pandemic-related efforts to reopen for fall 2020 at lcpioneers.com/COVID. You came into this program, as I mentioned, entering your sixth season now as the head coach. And there's this moniker, Men of Excellence, and some of the philosophical things behind your program. What do you try to get across to your student athletes and to the parents of those student athletes about how, Lewis and Clark football players are developed with your team?
Well, our goal is to win a championship. That's our goal. Our purpose is to develop men of excellence. So if that makes sense, our purpose is going to be to develop, again, men of excellence. And what we mean by that is basically in school life and football, try to get people at work to do their absolute best, treat other people like they'd like to be treated, have established priorities or have an ability to focus, having a why, in what they're doing and why they're doing it, a little bit of a purpose concept for them. And we want them to enjoy the journey. And then we also want them to build team and build community as well. So those are the things we talk about in terms of being a man of excellence. Pushing them in the classroom. You're going to get pushed academically here. That's something I think I can guarantee you that you would achieve your potential here because that's just the norm. You work at it and you push to be your best that way. And that's just the nature of the school and the classes that you do take. The other thing that I think is somewhat unique about Portland and Lewis and Clark is, again, we are in Portland. We have a lot of alums. We have a lot of connections. So what we try to do is also expose and push kids career-wise. And I think that's the neat thing that we've done. We've had network dinners, what we call network dinners, mentor dinners, and we do another activity we call Beyond the Game. And to me, that's what you're trying to create equity or enhanced value of our players. So when they're here for 4 years, they've learned life skills that are involved with the game of football. I don't know if there's a better classroom to teach life skills. I think football does a great job of that, and I think our staff is incredible that way. But I think the other thing that we try to do is increase your value, not only from that perspective, but also in terms of being comfortable and exposing to opportunities and careers. And I think people are looking for team-oriented people, people that learn how to deal with grit and adversity and challenges and rise up. And so I think those are the things you learn. And we get our kids in front of local local folk here, business wise, and opportunities in the Portland area, which is actually fairly easy to do because we're just involved with it. So
Yeah, I mean, you discuss the Portland location and how that's conducive to connecting with the football alumni and a lot of the Lewis and Clark athletics alumni that remain in the Portland area. And as I mentioned in the open, I mean, you're Oregon born, right? What's your history, in terms of football, and even from like the playing days, right? Kind of walk us through your background in that respect.
well, it's fairly short, being as long a history as I have, but grew up in Corvallis. Uh, Corvallis High School played at a high school championship team. Mike Riley was our quarterback on that team. A lot of other great people, Donnie Reynolds. Anyway, great opportunity for me. That group of people had a big time impact on my life. Uh, then I went to Oregon State, played there. Uh, Went to Lake Ridge High School nearby. Tom Smythe was the coach there. Chuck Solberg was my high school coach, which is both Lewis and Clark coaches. Pretty fun coaches, beautiful people to be around. And then I had the opportunity to go back, got my master's. Then I got a job at Linfield with Had Rutschman, which is just uh, the person that had the most impact on me in terms of coaching and really in life. Just a real principle centered, kind of a John Wooden kind of guy. Uh, Still has a big, powerful impact on me. And so that was at Linfield. Became the head coach for 10 years, my last 10 years there. Then went to Oregon State and was an assistant head coach there, coached the receivers, coached tight ends. And then again, 2015 was my first tenure season at Lewis and Clark. So all been up and down the valley, but have basically recruited the state of Oregon for 35 years. So it's been fun, been enjoyable.
Well, and I'm curious, we've seen the likes of some of your Oregon State players who've come back to visit with your Lewis and Clark team, and you get a chance now being in your sixth season as a head coach to start seeing some of your Lewis and Clark graduated players come back, whether it's a homecoming or for a practice. Like, describe how special it is for a coach to have a chance to stay connected to generations of players who have had a chance to work with you in the past.
Well, Amos Alonzo Steggs was asked a question, how is your team going to be? And he says, I won't know for 20 years. Trying to basically say that we'll find out how they develop 20 years from now, and if we had an impact on them, you or not. I'm not saying I had an impact, but what is fun to see, it's fun to see former athletes come back, interact with them, and see the kind of success that they have had, and how they've utilized life skills that they've learned in football, uh, and to their advantage, and help them to be successful in their families as well as in their careers. So that's a real joy. You have trophies and you pursue championships, but probably the real championship, and this is with your own family, is your kids, and how they do. So the trophies are a lot of times are players, and I think that's how we view it as a staff. Is that there are trophies, and we're going to develop them. The byproduct is going to be championships. So very much fun.
He's Jay Locey joining us on lcpioneers.com live. We're Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time on Facebook Live and archived youtube.com/lcpios. Coach, you talk about this staff, and you alluded a little bit to Coach Bushman. He was in his first year as the offensive coordinator last year. Uh, Describe the makeup of the staff and why student athletes who choose to compete at Lewis and Clark have the opportunity to really uh, get a great amount of experience coaching them.
Well, we've got a. I think Portland lends itself to have availability of a kind of a pool of people that are in the Portland area. So it's been fun put a staff together, and so Joe Bushman, uh, very successful high school coach, obviously state of Oregon too. So that's a tremendous asset for connections as well for our players. But uh, built a program at Clackamas, was at Central Catholic. Um, very innovative, does a good job of utilizing staff, people, good recruiter, but just a good person. Eric Jackson is the coordinator, and Eric has been in Portland, been at Portland State, defensive coordinator at Portland State. He's been in state now for the last decade plus, and very extremely well connected. He's, as you would understand, extrovert, very positive, very upbeat, tremendous juice and energy. And we have had some people come join our team Zoom meetings that have been absolutely incredible. Kevin Carroll, a connection of Eric's, uh, Rashad Floyd, a connection of Eric's. Um, and so it's been Scott Pioli, who's been with the New England Patriots. Anyway, some tremendous people that we've had join us in Zoom meetings, and a lot of it is based on the connections that Eric has had. So Randy Heath is a been a head high school coach, and I actually got a chance to coach him at one point. So we got a good people is all I'm saying. Bruce Reed is uh, an elite special teams coach in America, and Bruce was with the NFL for 7 years, uh, Canadian Football League Division I for 20 years, won national championships. He is an elite special teams coach. He's our running back coach, special teams coach. He's awesome with kids, so extremely special. I think staff wise, and we're just getting started. There's a coach that we're real excited about that's going to join us also in terms of Marcus Lattimore. Uh, he'll be a life coach for us, and we'll get some more up on our website about him. Forrest Sherman is a former head high school coach as well at Lake Ridge. Forrest Sherman is an alum at Lewis and Clark, originally from San Diego area. But boy, he's awesome in terms of strength and speed development. So he'll be a tremendous asset in everywhere, helping out with our defensive back. And I'm leaving out. There's Renato Felina, Thomas Sinceri as well. And so just a great staff of people that we've been able to have and grow here.
Well, let's close out with this, Coach. The 2020-21 season moved now to the spring because of the coronavirus pandemic, but you're still excited about this incoming class of first-year student athletes. And I don't necessarily want you to break down all of them, but you can find on the Lewis and Clark Pioneers Instagram, LC Pios FB, that Coach Locey did do a little bit of that. Instead, just kind of give us collectively what you're excited about with this group and what they can do to help you.
Well, I think it's a what I would call extremely high quality group. We're 19 and probably 20 kids is what it looks like. There's a couple others that kind of on a bubble, kind of waiting to see about housing, what kind of availability there is, and they might join us in the spring. But extremely high quality. I think every position we were able to develop or bring in some tremendous kids, and they range from we've got a transfer from Germany that played, in the States, and we've got a kicker from South Korea. We've got a punter and kicker from Arkansas, but we've heavy in Washington, Oregon, Hawaii, and California. And but it's a special group of kids, I think, that are going to add in a very good way, and we can develop them in the fall, and then we can hopefully play with some, I'm going to say, a little bit of veteran perspective in the spring, as they'll have a lot of time to develop and grow.
It's going to be tough without fall sports in the fall. Majority of them not going to happen, but looking forward to the development of your team and see how you can build on a great 2019 season. Jay Locey, head coach of Pioneers football, joining us. Thanks so much for your time.
You bet. Thank you, Ryan. Thanks. Go.
You're welcome. That's head coach Jay Locey joining us on lcpioneers.com live. Really fun guy to get to know, and so much history in the state, so much experience coaching football and developing student athletes. Really enjoy having him and his staff. I mean, that staff has tremendous experience, and I'm happy we linked it in the Facebook Live comments. Certainly encourage you to take a look at those people who mentor the Lewis and Clark Pioneers. And also, Coach Locey, our last coach to appear on the show, as I mentioned in the open, week 19 of having lcpioneers.com live. And so we're looking forward to going around the horn. Cross country coach Matthew Barreau, who was our first ever guest on lcpioneers.com live, set to join us sometime next week. So we're excited to have more conversations about the upcoming year. As odd as it's going to be right now, cross country, tennis, and golf, the only Northwest Conference sports that are going to have some competition in the fall. That's as of right now. Certainly encourage you to bookmark lcpioneers.com/COVID so that we can keep you up to date with everything that's going on with Pioneers Athletics. Coming up tomorrow and Friday, a pair of golfers will be our guests. Current student athletes, rising junior Cameron Ford of women's golf will join us, former Northwest Conference Freshman of the Year, and have a chance to talk to her about study abroad, overseas study opportunities that she's experienced, what it's like to compete already at the highest level in the Northwest Conference. And then Nick Lombardi is a dual sport athlete, both for golf and men's basketball, and he's just highly involved. I don't know if Nick Lombardi sleeps. He ends up having an appearance on American Ninja Warrior. He runs an entrepreneurial endeavor, heavily involved in the Bates Center for Entrepreneurship and Leadership. So we'll talk to him on Friday. And then next week, we already know that Michelle McGinn will join us from volleyball. Francesca Span, who is the NSO director, New Student Orientation Director, too, will join us. Part of the show that's been fun is to have folks from throughout the Lewis and Clark College community join us and get a chance to learn about what they do to impact students at the college. So we'll have Francesca come on the show sometime next week as well. That's it. That's our show for today. We invite you to keep connected with us on Facebook Live. You can find the show again 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time at lcpioneers.com/live, and then watch all of our archive shows. I mean, it's been incredible, the response on YouTube and how many more people are watching our YouTube channel. Certainly appreciate that. Feel free to subscribe. You can get it right in your feed on your app, wherever you are on your phone or tablet. But it's been really fun. I appreciate the feedback on the show, and we look forward to having more with you tomorrow. lcpioneers.com live, Tuesday through Friday at 11:30. Until then, thanks for joining us. Have a great rest of your day. I'm Ryan Goff. Goodbye, everybody.
Hi, I'm Nick Lombardi. Something I've learned at Winterim this year is how to communicate a vision.
My biggest takeaway from Winterim is probably the networking. Getting to talk to everybody, connect with people for the future is one of the most valuable things, and I did Winterim last year, came back for more this year.
I think a way in which my liberal arts education has really helped me and my group formulate our ideas is that concept of critical thinking and having many different backgrounds. Me being an econ major and my two group mates being chemistry majors, we really get that well-rounded background, well-rounded ideas.
I think overall it's absolutely worth doing. You find yourself not only being more prepared for, say, this next semester, on top of being more prepared for life in general.
I'm Ann Bentley. I'm an associate professor of chemistry, and in this research group, I supervise the 2 students working in the Rogers program this summer in our lab. The brown bag experience is a good chance for students to get experience presenting their work that they've done in the lab, especially to an audience that's not technical.
What's intriguing about the brown bag experience is it incorporates all of the Rogers program. So I'm able to hear people in the psychology department and what research they're doing, but it also gives us the opportunity to share our research with the greater science community at Lewis and Clark. And for incoming students, the summer program is really beneficial for getting opportunity in research. So I've had the opportunity for research in the past, but other students may not have the same opportunities. So it's nice to work in a professional lab setting and potentially have the opportunity to publish a paper, which looks really good moving on into doing professional research out in the field.
The students grow a lot during the summer in their ability to learn the techniques and apply the techniques and suggest their own ideas for what could come next and interpret their data. It's just a big, usually if they haven't done research before, they learn a lot in that short period of time.